Hey everybody, in this video we're going to talk about the basic installation and setup of your guide rail brackets on any table. We are of course using the dashboard table. So to begin, we've installed front and rear brackets, and I like to leave the hardware a little bit loose so you can move it, but not so loose that it's flopping around, because we're going to need to move them as part of this process. Something else to consider is you want to leave your pressure bar loose, as we did in the assembly video, because we need that to be able to be lifted so we can slip the rail on. Another thing is, as far as the height settings on both of these, when we're doing this, you want your rail to be just a little bit above the surface of the table, 3-4 millimeters, or a quarter inch or less. Makes the whole thing easier to move around. So let's talk also about these items. We have the universal setup block and a couple of bench dogs that came with your set. And so you would have chosen between our three heights. And this one happens to be the taller height of those. So let's take a quick look at the universal setup block. So we have 4 sides and different purposes. In this video, we're only talking about making the crosscut setup. So as you can see here, this is written X cut for crosscut. And this arrow points to this direction and this direction. So what that means is you can use either side that the arrow is pointing to for this process. So the way this works is you're going to put your bench dog in the hole, same thing over here, and you drop the USB over it with one of the crosscut sides facing the cut strip. So this rail is really longer than I would like to use on this table. So I'll typically cut it down a bit, just because you end up with a lot of excess off the back for this. However, you might want to use this in some other application, so maybe this generic length would be good for you. It's fine either way. So we'll start by just lifting the pressure bar, and then I'm just going to slip the rail on here. And I have a reference point here that's going to help it land on the pin in the front. So now you can see the pin stud is going to drop right over the pin, just like that. And so we're ready to go there. Not tightening anything yet. Okay, so what we want to do now is slide both of these brackets up so that the rail comes in contact with this edge of the USB. And so you just move the whole thing like that, and the splinter guard is going to touch there in both cases. So now we're ready to secure this location. I'm going to tighten the mounting hardware on the front bracket and the mounting hardware on the rear bracket. And then the last step always is to tighten the pressure bar knobs. Just remember, that's always the last thing you do, because the pressure bar can float a little bit, and we want it to be able to float so that the rail can be self-adjusted to whatever table you're using. So now we'll just get rid of the USBs, and we're ready to go. So because this is so well aligned now, I can just drop this and it's going to fall right on the pin again with no lateral pressure from me. So we have a good alignment between the brackets and the rail. Okay, so now I've installed one of our fences on the dashboard bench. And if you have our system, you will have completed a calibration process with your fences and the table, which aligns the fence with the rear guide rail bracket, because this plate has the unique ability on our benches to be part of the fences. So we'll just take a quick moment to talk about alignment, or squareness. So I talked about the USBs, and we use them primarily to locate the rail on the cut strip, or in a particular place between holes. And although they are very well made, they're not necessarily guaranteed 100% perfect squareness. For that, you want to check with your fence. And so it's always best practice to get a reliable square and put that against your fence and run it against the rail. And you can see here, this is perfectly square. There's no rocking here. So this is all set. So everything here was perfect on this side, but we just double checked it with the square. Now, depending on what table you have if it's not one of ours. We can't control for that. So you might be using a different fence. And so something I want to point out here is very easy to adjust the brackets and the rail to accommodate any imperfections in another table. So it's very simple. You want to come back around, loosen the pressure bar knobs that we tightened at the last possible step last time. Just loosen those enough that they're free. Okay, so that's going to allow the rail several degrees of freedom in either direction. So that's by design. So we're going to leave this rail down on both front and rear brackets. And let's deliberately take it out of square. We'll just loosen the front rail, okay? So we can see here with our square, it's way out of square, okay? So now, because this end is free but still held, this end is loose, secured on the pin, I just need to go like that and just make sure everything looks good. Just move the front bracket a little bit. So now I'm just going to tighten the front bracket. So that's where it needs to be. And we come back here and tighten these knobs again, because the pressure bar had the opportunity to swing on that front screw that it has that you installed during the assembly process. So now, all nice and square, easily adjusted. So while these components are robust and very carefully made, it's best practice to check this every so often. If you have prolonged heavy use, you should check it. And I am confident that our products are robust and accurate, and they will maintain their squareness over years of use. Thanks for watching.